Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we're joined once again by Mark Gonzales over at First National Bullion. And I urge people to look at this recent news coming out because I think this has a lot of say in what we're going to see in the near future with the shift from the world reserve currency into the new Brics units. Brics launches gold-backed unit payment system to ditch dollar. Brics launches gold-backed unit payment system to promote dollar-free cross-border trade. Now, there's been a lot of talk about this. Of course, we also know that as of the Brics 2025 summit many months back, said China builds global gold vault network. This is interesting, and it says a lot about where we're heading on the global economic order as far as that goes. I don't believe for a second that the Brics currency or their units they're actually going to have the gold to back it, or they're actually going to have any evidence of it. They want us on a digital system, but they'll say it's backed by gold. But there's more to it than meets the eye, because this could be extremely bullish for gold and that shift towards gold, where most of the world, same with silver, people are shifting towards this as wealth insurance, as they should, in the face of crisis. And before I get into this with Mark, for him to explain what all of this means, I urge people, as always, to check that link in the description, firstnationalbullion.com/schedule-consult/. It has to be that exact link, not a shortened version. This is important going forward, because this is an opportunity for everyone watching right now to be able to buy physical gold, silver, platinum, or palladium, hold it in their hands, put it in a vault, or put it in an IRA outside of the traditional IRA system, and avoid the digital system to come, avoid the bank collapses, avoid the inflation, avoid all these things that affect us on a day-to-day basis. Ensure your wealth today. Schedule an appointment for a free consultation with Mark Gonzales, and a complimentary investors package will come with that as well. Just let him know in the comments of the forum that you found him at World Alternative Media, or WAM, WAM. Now, Mark, Brics is launching this gold-backed unit payment system to ditch the dollar. This is a major shift. I mean, we're seeing a major power shift as it is from the west to the east. I think that's by design. I think that's part of the reset. However, with that said, what this actually encapsulates here, what this means for gold and silver, is enormous. We've heard a lot of talk about this happening over the past couple of years with Brics, but now they're doing this launch. I want you to explain to the viewers what this all means.
West is moving to East as far as the payment system. The dollar is no longer dominant. What you are seeing is a decade plus of incremental efforts from China, then the Brics, all starting back with Belt and Road Initiative to where we are now. It is a very clear sign that the dollar is no longer going to be the reserve unit of the world at some point in time. It's a changing of the guards, and you can't say it's anything but that. I've talked about the unit a few times on this channel. I've been following it for a while. So the unit was actually developed over a year ago, well over a year ago. And the test markets went well, and now it's an official thing. So it's 40% backed by gold, 60% backed by commodities. Brics members of the Brics Nation automatically are involved in it, but you don't have to be a member of Brics to be involved. One of the requirements, though, if you want to participate in this, is if your country has gold on reserves, they have to be within your country's border. So think back about really about 10 months ago, when metal, back in I think it was March and April of last year, when it started moving heavily from London vaults into other countries. I mean, this stuff was going into private households. It was going into private governments. It was it was being taken off the exchanges where it was stored. It was no longer stored in New York or London. And that is why, is everybody's going to get on the right side of the trade. Now, what I like about this is because the structure of the unit is where the gold actually prices the currency, or the unit of value, as opposed to currency pricing the gold. Right. And that's the way it should be. So all systems just generally throughout history have just been kind of an accounting measure against the actual money itself. It's now the actual money itself that dictates the price. And you've got 11 plus countries, with about 28 on the way, with applications out there to be jumping on this. And this goes back all the way a decade plus ago, when China really started getting a stronghold and emerging, showing the intent to kind of remove the dollar or de-dollarize, because we've weaponized it. But with the Belt and Road, I've made comments on this before. So when you borrow in a currency, you have to pay back in that currency, right? You can't borrow in dollars and pay dollars back in euros. No, you got to convert the euros back to dollars. So what the Belt and Road did, it simulates the Silk Road from centuries ago on the trade routes, and where it used to be dominant dollar borrowed money or bonds that countries would use. They would borrow in the treasury market, convert it in their currency, and then they would build bridges, they would build hospitals, they'd build schools, whatever the hell that they choose to build. But then now they're doing this with China, so now they're paying back in yuan, right? So another nail in the coffin. And this was like 16 years ago. So, the whole purpose of a dollar Ponzi fiat system is you must continuously roll over the debt for new buyers. And what happens when the world stops buying treasuries? What happens when obligations for expansion are in another currency? You don't have you can't do that. So if you borrow a dollar to make a dollar and owe $1.30, the 30 cents isn't made. You always have an imbalance. You're constantly going into the hole further and further and further. We're running out of those options. And I think it's going to come to a point to where the Federal Reserve will actually probably start monetizing our debt, especially when we get into yield curve controls. But we're seeing a path where gold and its pricing are going to be, again, historic measures of value, to the point of will the gold be there in the vaults? I don't know. I mean, you and I aren't going to be privileged to go in there and see it. But I also don't think it's necessarily going to matter.
Well, it's certainly not in Fort Knox. We know that. So it's
well, I personally think that the metal's in Fort Knox. If you look at reports, it looks like the bars are there, but they're bars that are basically melted down from the reclaim of the treasury coins back in 33. So and bars by a smidgen.
And Mark, as we know, with President Charles de Gaulle back in the 1960s, trying to reclaim and repatriate gold to France, and the United States saying, hey, we don't have it. He sent battleships to New York Harbor. This led to, I think this is 69. This led to eventually Nixon paying off their debt of gold in fiat in the creation of the new fiat standard back in the early 1970s. I see similar things happening right now, by the way, with the digital system, the central bank digital currencies, and how they'll pay back debts and all that kind of stuff with fake money that came out of nowhere on a digital screen. But with what we're seeing in China, I have no doubt they don't actually have the gold that they say they do. But with that said, there's something that says a lot more about this. Gold itself, we have people rushing to get it. We see shortages of gold and silver across the board. We see all-time highs, and those don't seem to show any signs of actually stopping for a long period of time, because we're seeing a big shift towards it. Obviously, we're going to see dips and all that kind of stuff, but it's about zooming out. It's not about what's happening this year or next year. It's what's going to happen in 5 years if you actually stock up on gold and silver. What does this news out of China with Brics, which, by the way, is part of the agenda by the Trilateral Commission years ago to replace the West? The West is in on destroying themselves and shifting power over there. But what does this gold back unit say about gold itself, and why people should be really considering utilizing that instead of trusting bankrupt banks with all their money?
It's the only form of measure of historic monetary value that has survived everything thrown at it throughout the history of man. It's as simple as that. The US dollar, or the Federal Reserve note, is something that is fairly new, a little over a century ago. Right. So you can look at the historic measure of these reserve units, and you can see that they last anywhere from like 50 to 100 years, because then they collapse under their own weight. And that, again, is by design, right? Think tariffs going after China, bad. Everybody else is screwing US over. No, that's intentional. When you have a reserve base that is a lender to the world, you become the world's, debtor. You're the biggest country in debt. People start losing faith in you, and you simply cannot pay it because you've exported all your inflation to manufacturing, and then one day it just comes rushing back home.
Right.
So to reintroduce gold in such a fashion to make it a monetary unit again, backing a international payment system to de-dollarize and go directly at the jugular of SWIFT. And guess what? The shit's working. The Brics unit, their biggest customer is Saudi Arabia, like it's amazing to see how fast that relationship came super, super, super cozy. Saudi Arabia was selling oil to China for Chinese yuan when we still had about a year left with our agreement as the petrodollar.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't bomb them. Like we didn't blow them up like we did everybody else that, think Gaddafi. He's trying to do a gold and a euro back type structure. And
Yeah, Saddam Hussein.
yeah. And then what do? We go destroy the hell out of them. And
Mm-hmm.
so why didn't we bomb Saudi Arabia? Because there's nothing less to defend, right? And we're past the point of defending the great and almighty dollar. Right now, we're putting things in measure just to kind of live to fight another day.
And creating chaos so they can come in as solutions. Like that's what we're seeing in
Yeah,
Venezuela and other places right now.
yeah, and it's the same old story over and over again. And most people don't understand how it plays out. They hear it on the news or they watch the TV, and you shouldn't be watching mainstream news anyway. But that's where they're getting kind of a lot of their sources, and they don't understand the inner workings of it. But the entire system, if you don't recognize it, I'm sure you can feel it. It's geared against you from step one.
Well, Mark, it's what they call lying by omission, because they don't even need to lie about the situation. They just don't need to mention all these very important parts of the contexts, nuances to this issue, and then people just don't know about it, and they assume that this black and white situation that we're confronted with in the news all the time must be the only way. A lot of people have no idea of what's going on, the inner workings of this global order, and how they're utilizing money right now.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, especially when you've been brainwashed forever to have one narrative of worldview as far as the monetary structure, because it's been around since really everybody's been alive. I don't know anybody that has been arrived when pre 1913 when the was the dominant structure.
There's 7 people left in the world, Mark. We're going to have to work hard to catch up with them.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is you got 11 countries and 20 plus more that want to sign up. Saudi Arabia being the biggest customer for the unit. But what's more telling is China started announcing back second quarter of this year that they were going to be expanding vaults throughout the world. So to entice other countries to get on board with the unit and start circulating the unit trade, convertible to gold, yuan convertible to gold, be a part of these markets. Like Saudi Arabia will buy oil or sell oil to China and get the yuan, the renminbi. And then they take those funds and then they buy gold and take delivery of the gold. So you can, whether China has the gold or not, they're actually delivering on these contracts when someone wants it. Whereas, you got like Chase just the other day. Now this is silver, not gold. When that data center went down, there was 13.4 million ounces of gold just completely came off the market. They recategorized them and made them unavailable for delivery. So who's going to be the most honest in this situation? Is it China or the US? Personally, I wouldn't like either of the options, but they're building out this vault network to house metal in and entice people to start using their system. And that's the problem when you have a Ponzi that continuously needs to be rolled over and rolled over and rolled over. Mm-hmm. You're going to come to the end of the road where you don't have anybody that's willing to buy. And if everybody starts jumping on this Chinese unit bandwagon, it doesn't even have to be a full 100% in dollar abandon. It's just margin. Everything's happening in the margin. It will take enough power away from the US dollar, and the Fed will have to start monetizing our own debt because you don't have enough citizens that are going to buy it. You have the stable coin, the way they're structuring, where one treasury is going to satisfy the match of one stable coin created. So the privatized banks that are under the New York Fed and the Federal Reserve System structure, they are going to go to the market and buy these stable coins. And I've actually had people mention to me thinking like, oh, well, that's going to save us because then we got demand for it. There ain't enough demand from these banks to buy the stable coin to satisfy $36+ trillion. It just is not going to fucking happen at all. Yeah. So that's going to alleviate some stuff. But ultimately, when that dollar to stablecoin 1-to-1 backing goes to something like 20, and be on the lookout for that, that's why you're going to need precious metal. That's how you're going to get the revalue. They simply adjust the ledger of the debt to revalue what it produces in yield on the other end of the spectrum. And a 20-to-1 backing would take you from a dollar valuation to 5 cents in value.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, but it's those are the games that are going to get played. Watch out. Mark my words, it'll happen.
Absolutely. And by the way, the fact that we're seeing this gold unit in the first place says a lot about gold and about silver and what we're seeing right now in the market with people trying to get it as much as they can. There's scarcity, there's demand, there's obviously value going into the future. It's wealth insurance, but also the fact that that shift away from the dollar says a lot about this as well, and why you don't want all your money tied up in a extremely dangerous institution like a bank, all your money tied up in digits on a screen that's not even actually there in actual deposit, in actual money, in actual cash. It's all the more reason for people to be thinking, okay, well, we are shifting out of this system. It's by design. What can I do to ensure myself that I don't end up, trapped, left behind? And like most people, by the way. And then, oh, well, here's your digital currency. Here's your new digital ID. Here's your food rations. Here's your social credit. Don't worry, it's a solution. It's very convenient. Tyranny comes under the guise of convenience, which I say all the time. All the more reason to be checking that link in the description and getting prepared today and not waiting until it's too late. So with that, once again, that link is there. firstnationalbullion.com/schedule-consult/. It has to be that exact link. Do not shorten it. And by the way, check your junk mail folders once you sign up, just in case you might not see an email. Maybe it went straight to junk, whatever it might be. Just make sure to keep an eye out and keep an eye on your phone if you put your phone number in there. Nonetheless, there you could go and buy physical gold, silver, platinum, palladium, hold it in your hands, put it in a vault, put it in an IRA outside of the traditional IRA system. Like I say so often, but I think it's important to drive home because I want people to hear it more and more and more. So they take that step to save themselves for the long term here. When we zoom out, it's very important. You go there, you'll get that free consultation with Mark Gonzales, and you'll also get that investors package. Let him know in the comment section of the forum when you sign up that you found him at World Alternative Media, or WAM, WAM. Very important going forward. The solution is in your hands. The responsibility is on your shoulder. And it comes down to everyone watching right now to actually take that step and just stop waiting. Don't sit on your hands. Don't wait till it's too late. Don't wait for someone else to come and save you. It's all about what you do next that makes all the difference long term. Those of you that have saved up for years, that money just sitting there, you see that balance number in your savings. That is not safe long term. And also, and with the bail-in regimes and all that they're coming in with, Mark and I just did a video on the bank closures. These are very important things that we need to be focused on and understand. There is a shift happening. We need to do something about it as individuals. And of course, if we leave all that money in there, if we just hold on to it, wait to see what happens, the more chance that first of all, it's devaluing. Second, also keeping it all tied up in super centralized, manipulated, spoofed stocks isn't a great idea either. This is a way out, and I hope people go and check that out in the description of the video. That link is below. And as always, Mark, you bring a lot of insight to these issues and talk about stories that very few people, including economics channels, are actually talking about. I think it's important, and I hope we can do a whole bunch more videos in the coming weeks. I think we will, and I hope people stay tuned for that as well. Hit that like button, share on social media, hit the notification bell, and hit subscribe if you have not yet already, of course. Mark, thank you for joining us again.
Appreciate it.